Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is StoneMountain64. This is the Fireside podcast, episode number 2. And it's good to be back with you. Like I was talking about the first one, I kind of introed what the series and things are going to be about. Today, we get a little bit more into some of the topics, things that I kind of had put together, some of the stuff we had talked about on stream during the week, some of the news things that have been happening. I also got some cool new visuals for the if you are watching this live as a supporter, or if you watch this, I'll be putting it up on my second YouTube channel most likely, and have it a couple other places. But don't worry, it's all going to be talked about. So if you're just listening, you'll be all good. We're talking mostly gaming, streaming, content creation, kind of from my own perspective, my own site. This is kind of the premise of the show, and it's going to continue developing as we go through this. We might change up how things are formatted, how things are done. I really don't know. Hopefully we'll bring on some guests as we go through this too. This is all very new, and what's really interesting is, like, this is one of my favorite means of entertainment is podcasts. I don't listen to that much music, but if I'm at the gym, if I'm on a drive, if I'm commuting anywhere when I used to commute, like, I would just listen to podcasts. It's one of my absolute favorite things. And I've never really been recommended a gaming podcast. That was more talking about that. I don't know why. I don't actually listen to any of those per se. But they're typically about other things. Maybe you guys don't listen to any either. I don't know. But I thought it'd be fun to branch out and kind of start working on something in that area. And who knows, maybe I'll discover some other awesome ones on the way, because, like I said, I haven't explored this avenue very much, and it's something that's been a lot of fun kind of getting into. Kind of trialed it out with some of my stream supporters over the past month, and now kind of actually diving into it. It's been awesome. The biggest piece of news that's been going on is Bungie announced that they're splitting with Activision. This just happened yesterday. I read a Kotaku article about this. That's pretty huge. Activision, Blizzard actually have been in the news quite a bit lately. There were some changes within their company in terms of some upper management. There's also there's been some difficulty with I read some articles about them and their employees not really getting paid that much. Also heard news of some of the Blizzard employees and getting offers to leave their company and getting paid to leave the company. Like, the whole company just seems to be going crazy right now. I don't exactly know what's going on, but also, like, this is very much an outside perspective looking in, just reading a couple articles here and there. They're still dropping their games. Things seem to still kind of be going good, although some things are debatable. Anyways, the biggest thing most recently is that Bungie is splitting with Activision. They are keeping Destiny, though. So, obviously, Bungie was the creator of Halo, Halo 2. They were owned by Microsoft. They did a split from them a while back. I think that was in 2007. Bungie's had a very, very long history, and I personally come from a background of I got into shooters with Halo. Halo 2 was like my absolute favorite shooter, probably of all time. Probably it tied with Black Ops as well. For me personally, I really love that one. Black Ops 1. But since then, Bungie's continued to kind of create a bunch of new games. Halo 3, I was pretty big into that. And then the more recent Halos, I really wasn't as into. I think it was Halo 5 came out, and that was a whole nother thing. They had like a whole card system in there that was kind of similar to Titanfall's game that I wasn't really a big fan of, and I just completely fell off it. But when Destiny was coming out, I was extremely hyped, as was so many people with such fond memories of Halo and getting into the world of MMORPGs, which, like, I was a huge fan of MMORPGs coming from World of Warcraft. I played RuneScape as well, like the end games, the raids, like that was what it was about for me. So I was excited to hear all that. I was big into Destiny 1 until I kind of just got bored of it, and I was working on so much other content I didn't really stick with it. But anyways, Destiny 2, fast forward to that launched. They made a lot of improvements with Destiny over the years. Destiny 2 launched, though, and it wasn't super hot. Like, I think it started off great, but it just kind of, I don't know. And To be fair, like I'm not super big into the Destiny community right now. I'm not super involved and tied in with that. This is kind of an outsider looking in, and from what I've heard from some of the other creators in that space. But you know, they did just recently get the Forsaken DLC that seemed to be pretty good, doing pretty well. But even within Destiny or within Bungie, when they announced that they're splitting from Activision, this article says like it was they were popping champagne. Like they were incredibly happy. Apparently, they were incredibly happy to be leaving Activision. And I think the biggest thing was like their schedule at Activision to continually pump out new content every year and like hit deadlines. And it's just that seemed to be from my understanding the bigger point of like why they're happy to be they can make their own decisions now. They can work on their own schedule. They can create the game how they want it to. But looking from the outside in, we also don't know like how much of it really was Bungie versus Activision. Like was it Activision that was the one saying like we got to have these crates that give you the better speeders, the bikes you ride on? Like some of them are a little bit better. Like you could pay and get that better thing. It's mostly cosmetic though. It was mostly cosmetic, but like even that decision too, like this game's really big into cosmetics. What changes really were Activision versus Bungie? Now we're actually going to get a C because Bungie's going to be going on their own and they're keeping Destiny. So they're going to be controlling that and they can go at their own pace with the game now. That being said, there is going to be more difficulty for them because they're going to now have to handle the publishing, the PR, the marketing, everything for their game. Maybe that's going to spread their teams even more thin. Maybe they can't do quite as much as what they want to. But this overall genre is blowing up and we're seeing that kind of with Q1 2019 games that are coming out as well that are pretty much direct competitors to Destiny. So this might even be too little too late for them with some of the damage that's been done to the franchise. I don't know. A lot of people still play it. The community is massive for Destiny. So will these guys really be able to take over? I don't know. Kind of leads me to what I got a lot of questions for, discussed a lot, was kind of what are my Q1 anticipated games. We're in January now. It's January 11th currently as I'm recording this. So you know, we're starting to make some progress into the year. We have a couple games that are definitely on the mainstream hype train, more or less. And like I said, two of them being pretty direct competitors to Destiny. First off, The Division 2. This thing is right around the corner, man. January, February is supposedly when we're going to be getting the beta. We don't have a specific date for it yet, but the launch for the game is going to be March 15th. Likely, we're going to want to have like some time prior to this thing actually being released where we can actually see it, give them feedback for the game. That's typically the point of a beta, although generally when they drop a beta, it seems more like a marketing thing because there's really not that much time to change things once they drop a beta. Like it's pretty well finished game from everything that I've ever seen with all these betas that we played over the last few years. You know, it's probably going to be something where you need to have the game pre-ordered. We've seen that a lot. That's going to be what it is for Anthem, which we'll talk about in a second. Like, I don't know. Anyways, it should be coming January or February. Some point within then, we'll be able to play Division 2. And they actually dropped a video in the past week or so that was Division 2 PC features overview, which kind of showed a little bit of what was to come with Division. Hold on, it showed a little bit of what was to come with it, with like some more scenes that they showed during it. They showed some of the graphics on PC. They didn't really reveal anything else, though. It was mostly like, hey, we're going to support ultra-wide monitors, 4K, 60 FPS. They showed some of the specs as well. If you go to their website, you can kind of see like what are the computer requirements that you're going to need in order to play this game in 1080, 1440, or 4K. And basically they're saying like this is not a port from PC or from console. This is a dedicated separate thing that we've developed for PC. This is going to be full quality. This thing's going to be insane. And the graphics, like what they showed, obviously it's very catered, but it's promising. It's exciting. It's exciting that that's what they're focusing on. As personally, I am mostly a PC player. Like it's got me hyped. And also, Division 1, like, while it did really well when it first came out, it then very much tapered off. It lost almost all of its audience. But over the past years, because this game has been out for a long time, they've actually made a ton of improvements to this thing. That the people that are still playing it, everybody that I've heard that's went back to Division has been impressed with the changes they've made. They also made a survival type mode, which they're kind of differentiating from a battle royale. Like, even I was listening to some of the developers talking about it, and it's very much more specific to it feels more like a survival mode. I think one of the developers was talking about it relative, they're comparing it to like Alien or something. It's pretty much a battle royale, though. Last person alive. They only have 12 people in it. It's a little bit different. But they made a lot of improvements to it from the first one when it initially launched. The way the looting works, the systems. And the hope is that the changes that they've made and the improvements and all the patches that they've done, a lot of it just being free patches as well. You can go back and play it if you want. I personally haven't done it yet. I haven't invested the time. I just feel like I'm just going to wait for number 2 at this point. We're close enough. But the things that they've changed, like I said, they've been pretty overwhelmingly positive. And that was a very similar feel of what happened with Destiny as well. When Destiny came out, the community at the end of Destiny 1, when Destiny 2 was launching, was incredibly hyped for Destiny 2. I feel like there's less total Division 1 players now because the game is so much older at this point, and there's just been so much new stuff that's come out. I feel like there's a little less in terms of overall people that are there and kind of building the hype for Division 2. But in terms of the overall launch, like the big thing for me, at least with Division 1 when it came out, was like I really enjoyed the playthrough of it. I thought it was fun. The PvP aspect is what kind of I was really hopeful for, and I liked the concept of the Dark Zone. I think I was anticipating there to be like I think there even was a PvP mode that was like you would spawn in and it was like a Slayer type thing, but I just didn't even get it. Like, it just I never really figured it out. The Dark Zone, though, was great. Like, I always enjoyed running through that. I made some good videos on that, too. It was a good time on it. And apparently they've continued to make improvements to it, and it's actually more like you can kind of compare it to Sea of Thieves, where you can go in, if you get some loot from this, like, if you're not familiar with the Dark Zone, you go into the zone, you can find loot there. If you find that loot, you have to exfil it out of the area, right? It's kind of similar to Sea of Thieves. You go in, you get a chest, you got to get it back to safety, and you can lose it on the way back. That's one of the things that I think has been blowing up Sea of Thieves lately, is just like that whole concept of everything you get, you can lose. You can't lose everything in the Dark Zone, but we'll see how they decide to do it for Division 2, because they have not dropped, at least everything that I've checked as of currently I'm recording this, they have not dropped any information about what they're expecting for the PvP side of Division 2. They said that there's going to be no Battle Royale. That was actually earlier in the year, last year in 2018, that they were announcing these things as well. Let me see. So there was an article from PC Gamer that was back in June 2011. They were talking to one of the creators of Division 2. And so Ubisoft's Associate Creative Director, Chadi El Zabawi, probably butchered the name, as I do with most of my audience on a daily. But they said Battle Royale, nope, not in Division 2. Now, that was also quite a while ago. They were kind of working on, the survival mode that was coming along. Will they change their mind? I don't know. There was another article from GameSpot as well. That was actually, funny enough, from June 11th, the same exact date. And it said, in talks with Division 2 creative director Terry Spear, after hands on the game, this was an article from GameSpot, he said, I love Battle Royales, but we're not officially having any Battle Royale content at release. So maybe this could be something in the future. But he said, but I mean, if you look at the Division, Survival was a really well-received mode, and we had a lot of fun making it. We had a lot of fun playing it, so I think there's definitely some interesting routes there, but there's no official plans for Battle Royale at launch. And again, it was quite a while ago. I didn't see really anything else more recently from them about a Battle Royale in particular, but they haven't said anything about their other PvP either, like the Dark Zone. Is there going to be any other specific modes or anything? So there's still a lot to be, a lot to expect. But at the same time, like that was I don't think they really talked too much about PvP in Division 2 or Division 1 either when that was first coming out. They talked about some of it, but Division PvP was pretty big. That was one of the bigger aspects of the game. Whereas the next thing, the other game Q1 release is going to be Anthem. That's coming out in February, the end of February. And there's also going to be a demo at the end of the month, which is, I think, January 25th, 27th is going to be the demo. It is going to be private demo, so like if you are pre-order the game or have the EA Origin access, all that jazz, that's how you play it. That's why, sometimes these, I feel like they're just to play the game. I don't know how much feedback they take from, they like the feedback. The feedback's good, but how much can they change at this point? I don't know. Anyways, we'll be able to play it. We'll be able to see it. That game, from everything that I've heard, is not going to have a PvP at launch. They might. I was listening to one of the developers talk about this, or the directors of it. He was saying that there's going to be no PvP in Anthem at launch. It is something that they're going to basically see like how much demand is there for it from the community, and then they're going to adjust from it from there. So it's like maybe it'll be cool. We'll kind of have to see. There's only really been one mission that's been shown from Anthem. This is one that I'm pretty excited for, in that like this game just looks stunning, dude. Like the concept, the art of this is beautiful. I feel like they're doing a lot right with it, with this kind of genre, and that's why I think having a fresh entry point to an MMORPG-esque game, which this is not even going to be. This is going to be just PvE co-op, but like an RPG type game. There's still going to be like raids or dungeons that you can go through with multiple of your friends, and that's what the footage that they've released of this was. It's kind of only been one real mission that they've shown, going through, flying through the environment, getting to that, and then this is actually a IGN posted a 15-minute the full gameplay from the 3 different javelins, I think they're called. There's like a heavy one, there's a more nimble one, and there's it's almost like a mage one with like, they all have different abilities and whatnot, but this game, though not having any PvP, is going to be interesting to see like what the end game of this is like. That's something I feel like it's going to be something that we maybe end up getting tired of, but it's definitely going to be a beautiful game to play. And the thing that I really like about it, at least compared to Destiny, some people were asking, the thing that I really like about it compared to it is that in Destiny, you had to have a warlock, a hunter. You had to create each of them. And you had to go through the entire story with each of the different classes you wanted to play. You had to play through and level them all up, unlock them. But you had to go through the very beginning, all the intro, everything again. Whereas in Anthem, you're just going to have one main character, and these suits that you wear are going to be like, you get into those suits. So you can play any of the different classes that you want to if you max level a character. And I personally really like that, because I always hated going back. I ended up having one character. In Destiny 2, I made 2 hunters at the beginning, so that way I could try and cheese the system and try and get loot faster, to level my guy up faster, to be ready for that first raid, But God, I hated every minute of it. It was terrible going through that thing again. It just wasn't for me. A lot of people do really like that system. That's awesome, but it wasn't for me. And so this is something that personally I really like, the aspect of this, of just being able to level up your one dude and then switch the things. You're still going to have to level each of the javelins, like upgrade them, upgrade your suits, get better abilities and stuff for it. I'm down with that, but you don't need to start another character in order to do it. Maybe there's going to be other reasons to start other characters. I don't completely know. We don't have all the details for it yet, too. But we'll figure out more as it kind of comes out. The third anticipated game that I have for 2019 is Battlefield Firestorm. This one is obviously, like, I've been very big into battle royales. If you don't know my content at all, very big into battle royales, man. It kind of took me by storm. I love the challenge. I love the competition between it. Battlefield Firestorm, the only real details we have for it, though, is that it's going to be a 64-player mode. It's going to be 16 squads, so teams of 4. Like, it's going to be squad-based game. Maybe they add solos and duos. I don't know. As of right now, it's only going to be squads. And it's going to be on their biggest map ever. It's going to have vehicles, tanks, jets, whatever, or planes on it. Like, it's going to be giant. And there's going to be a ring of fire that's closing in and burning you to death. Like, we got to see one trailer from it. It's definitely got me interested, but I feel like, is that going to be very different from some of the other battle royales that are out there right now? I don't know. I really have no idea. Is it just going to be like, there's been some other games that came out, like there was an underwater battle royale. There was a battle royale with vehicles. Like, there's all these little spin-offs of battle royale games that have been coming out that are kind of like, oh, that's cool. But they're really just focused around a battle royale and done a little bit different. Whereas, like, Fortnite and PUBG already have such massive player bases, it's kind of hard to break into that. Blackout did a pretty good job with Call of Duty, their latest game that came out. Black Ops 4, they had a completely dedicated separate mode for it, and that's been pretty good. But is it going to be better than that? Is it going to be equivalent? I don't know. We're going to have to see what they decide to do. And, I mean, while the Call of Duty map is the biggest map they've ever come out with, for Blackout, it's still a very small map compared to any other Battle Royale game. So we're going to have to see what this kind of compares to other Battle Royale games as well. But the design looks really cool. I mean, the concept of a firestorm looks really awesome. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. That's definitely one of the ones I'm personally most excited about, especially for the content that I create. Like, I feel like that's going to be into it. But how unique will it be? I don't know. And then the fourth game those are all, so Battlefield, that's coming out in March. It might end up being the end of March, but that's still going to be Q1, right? That's this early phase, and technically Battlefield's also already out, and this kind of is going to be an update. But you know, it could be a standalone game. Battle Royales, in and of themselves, mostly are just standalone games, so I can kind of see it as being a standalone mode in this. The fourth one, though, that I want to discuss, and we brought up a little bit on stream, I've been asked quite a bit about as well, is Spellbreak. This is another kind of Battle Royale copy, more or less, of like taking that same Battle Royale format and pasting it into a different environment. We saw this, I think the closest comparison to Spellbreak is something like Realm Royale, which was a really popular game for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then it kind of just died out. Game kept on updating. I don't really know what exactly happened to it. I think, you know, they were also saying they're going to come out with on console. I think it is out on console now. I really haven't looked into it very much lately, but it was a pretty popular game for at least a short period of time. I think Ninja even said, like, hey, this is going to be one of my side games that I'm playing. There's definitely more potential here for another battle royale in the space, especially one with abilities and spells and whatnot, like a class-based battle royale, like an Overwatch. Like, imagine if Overwatch made a battle royale. That's not really been well done, and that's kind of what Realm Royale was. If you didn't see it, I think there's a lot of potential in that area. Personally, like, I would be very down to play a battle royale class-based game. That's one of the ones I'm looking for, as well as obviously Battlefield, just because I'm a huge personal fan of Battlefield. That's why I'm looking forward to that one too. Otherwise, I don't know what else there really is. There's a great video that I found from Fever, F-E-V-I-R. This thing, he basically goes over kind of what he thought about was how Spellbreak's kind of like a different It's not just another battle royale of that. Like it's actually like a highly, it's a highly different game. Like it's a, imagine if this game was a MMORPG with this type of design that it has in terms of like the colors, the animated characters, the spells, the massive spells that are in this, the movement and everything. This would make for a great game in any genre rather than specifically to a battle royale. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be tied to that. They just happen to choose a battle royale. And I thought that was a fantastic point. I ended up downloading the game. You can, if you want to, get it on Spellbreak's website. It's in pre-alpha though, so I can't tell you anything about it. I can't tell you any of the details. There's a non-disclosure agreement with it. You can sign up to play it for free if you do want to check it out, if you're interested. It's pre-alpha right now, so they're occasionally giving out some more keys to it. They also, you can like get faster access if you go to their website and fill out a survey at the bottom. You could play it potentially for free. The game, they don't even know, like, is it going to cost anything? I'm assuming, and from what I've read, like, I'm assuming this is going to be coming out in early 2019, or at least like a beta or some early access form of it. But it's still so early, it's kind of hard to tell. But, you know, so I can't give you any details of it. I can tell you, you know, I did end up just buying it. It's way too expensive. I don't recommend doing it unless you really, like, actually really believe in the game. Then maybe try and consider it. But it's super expensive to buy your way into the it's like $50 for the basic pack, $120 for the big pack, just for a game that's like in super early pre-alpha that barely anybody's playing because it's pre-alpha. But the overall concept of what is here is like, it's super cool, and I agreed with it in that, like, this is I love spells ability games like World of Warcraft, like your you know, games like that. Like, I have a big background in that. I love these types of games. So to see one that is in the form of battle royale is awesome. But like overall, just the way that these spells interact with each other, the way that you shoot and do things, like it looks like a lot of fun. So I've watched some more videos of it. You can kind of see some clips here and there on YouTube of some highlights of some of the different spells that are in the game and abilities. But we don't know too much about it all publicly yet and what it all is going to consist of. It's got me excited though. Those are kind of the games that I'm looking forward to this year. This is definitely, I'm going way longer than I initially planned, but that's okay. We're going to keep it up. So yeah, Spellbreak, pretty cool. Check it out if you're interested in it. Not sponsored or anything. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll be able to do some sponsor stuff with them too. But I just I love battle royales, and that one's got me intrigued. I love spells as well, so it's kind of like best of both worlds. It's the one of all of these battle royales that are coming out that kind of stands out the most to me, personally. And, you know, with that, too, it's not just going to be new games that are coming out this year. There's also been a massive amount of updates to games that I have already played in the past. And I had some questions about this from people who were, you know, asking me what I thought about going back to a lot of these games on this list. And it's kind of hard to decide what I want to go back to. Sometimes I'll take a look at what some of these updates are. For example, Tarkov being probably one of the most requested ones. This was a game that I played quite a while back. It was a lot of fun, but it was extremely complex to learn. And the biggest thing for me with Tarkov was the extraction points. Like, you go into this game, if you're not familiar with it, you go into a game with all your gear, and if you die, you lose all your gear. You can find gear as well in the game, and like if you find a really nice assault rifle or something, you can start owning everybody. Because if you go into game with an assault rifle, whereas everybody else only has a pistol, they spawn with a pistol, you got a major advantage. You could go in with armor that'll protect you from a one-shot headshot, whereas you can one-shot headshot everybody, or even two-shot their body, or maybe even one-shot their body. You go in, if you don't know how to get out of that map, you're going to lose everything you have or everything that you found. And it's so hard to find the exit. You have to learn how to find the exits of the map, or like go in offline mode. And I guess there's an offline mode now, and you can kind of figure out where the escape points are. You have to know like what attachments go on guns, organizing things. It's a lot of stuff with it. It's super cool. I'm not knocking the game at all. It is a super cool game. If you are heavily into it, it's probably one of your, if you're very into guns or this concept, it is one of the most advanced games that I've seen. But for me, it was a little bit much to get into with how I play games. And I don't know, maybe I'm going to go back to it into the future, but it was definitely a lot. And, some of my buddies are trying to convince me to get back into it. So we might go back and see it. But that was one that has been seeing a lot of updates coming into this year, as well as the end of last year. And that's super cool. But it's just hard to spend the time on it right now. I also had some requests for Ring of Elysium. I don't know if they were getting a new map or there was some updates happening there. I also got requests for Scum. That was another one that we played in the past. Apparently they got vehicles now. They've had some other big updates that have happened. That game overall was just an absolute lag fest. And they actually do something really cool with Scum that other games don't, in that there is a third person to Scum where you can sit in a third person camera angle or switch to first person. But if you're in third person, you can't third person peek corners. So if you're behind a rock and your camera angle is up high and you can third person look over that rock, the player will not even appear on your screen. He's going to be completely invisible, completely. You cannot see him at all. You'll be able to see the terrain about where he maybe potentially is hiding or where he might potentially be, but until you actually expose your body, expose your eyes, your head out, and they can shoot you, they won't show up. Super cool concept, but it made it so it was crazy laggy. People would just appear and disappear in the middle of gunfights, and it just really wasn't the best to play. So I'm kind of personally waiting for Scum to make some more updates to the actual performance of the game. Maybe they have even done that, but I'm just kind of waiting to hear from people that like, yeah, this game's super solid now. Then we'll go back and check it out again. I also had a lot of requests for Insurgency lately. I actually did go back and play that. I will be having a video coming on that soon. If you search my YouTube for it, might be up by the time you're listening to it. Insurgency Sandstorm in particular. I played some Insurgency back in the day. I played Insurgency Sandstorm in the beta when it first came out. I don't even know its current state, but I did play it the other day. I was actually really impressed with the game. It was pretty fun. It played out quite fast-paced for a game that's so realistic. Like typically like an Arma type game or even a PUBG, which is kind of a more realistic game. You don't have hit markers in it, and your HUD is limited. Like you're not having people show up with red dots on your minimap for you to follow where to go, compared to a game like Call of Duty or something. It's a little bit more realistic in that aspect, but it's extremely fast-paced. The way that the game modes are set up was extremely fast-paced, and I actually really enjoyed Insurgency. It was a lot of fun. We might play it a little bit more in the future. It seemed to perform pretty well also, but I just, for the most part, I'm kind of focusing on some other games currently. Might play some more of it. I actually also have been getting a lot of requests for Battlefront 2 as well. Apparently, they have just been updating that game. I mean, to be fair, is it over a year old now? It came out a long time ago. I think it's over a year old. And they've made a lot of updates since the last time I played it. We might go back and check that out again. I'm not opposed to it. I'm a fan of Star Wars in general, and it's a beautiful game. Overall, the design. I think one of the bigger complaints was the lack of content when it initially came out. You kind of played through all of it, and it was cool. Kind of moving on to the next thing, as well as all the issues with the pay-to-win issues at the beginning, which they've since completely revamped the whole system on there, and you can no longer buy upgrades on it or anything. So it might be something we go back and check out, but as you can see, this list is already getting pretty long. I only got so many hours in the day. And the other thing is obviously Sea of Thieves, which we actually have been going back to quite a bit more. And if you guys have any other suggestions of games that I played in the past that have been getting updates or things, definitely let me know. Maybe we can take a look at it and I could give it another look. A lot of these are just like often viewer suggestions updating me, because there are just so many things out right now. Like I can only pay attention to so many things. That a lot of times it is just people recommending things. One of those things was Sea of Thieves. It was a few weeks back. I think it was at the end of 2018. I just had a ton of requests to go check it out, and we got a crew together, went back and checked it out, and had a great time. They added like a ton of new stuff. It's still not like, I feel like I've played through most of it now to where I still want more. And apparently they've got a new mode that's going to be coming called Arena, which is supposedly going to be it's a PvP type mode that's going to be much more fast paced. Those are the things we really know. I was listening to a developer update talk about it, and Sea of Thieves, I got to give props. They do like a weekly update every week where one of the developers sits down in like a 5 to 8 minute video updating about everything that's going on with their game, their community. I feel like they're doing a really solid job with their overall community management. There's been a lot of issues with it lately, and we can talk about that in maybe next week or another episode or something, but they made a lot of updates. They added a new section to the map. They added more megalodons, AI ships. The PvE has been vastly expanded to try and help get more loot out there. I think there's still a lot of issues with the game from what I've been playing. Just trying to get into PvP is quite difficult, but that's where like that arena mode, maybe that's a good solution for it. It's basically, we don't know much about it, but the general premise is going to be a faster paced mode. Everybody spawns into a world and they're fighting for loot. They're fighting to, get the chests and complete voyages the fastest. Now, will that be everybody on the same voyage? And like everybody's going to the same island, fighting at that island for the same loot, and then trying to sink each other on the way as we're all going on the same path? Or will that be everybody spawns into a server at the same time and everybody's on their own voyage and maybe you run across people? I don't know. They said they were testing out some of it. The developer, one of the creators, was saying that they were playing some of it and they were having a ton of fun with it in their office. Obviously, they're going to say that on whatever they put out anyways, but, it sounded genuine to me, and it sounded like it was going to be pretty good mode, and so there's some hype there too, but that's been a game that it's definitely more on my radar because of some of the updates that they're doing, and they are keeping up with it pretty well. But those are kind of the big topics, kind of the Q1, what's kind of the most anticipated games, Bungie's big split with Activision, as well as some of the game updates of things that have been in the past that I've been getting a lot of questions about recently with some of their updates and things that have been coming. If you guys, like I said, have any more suggestions or anything, definitely keep me updated, whether it's in my streams or if you send me a message on the side, keep it coming. Now I'm going to be taking some questions from the viewers here. We have some supporter questions. I did this post out actually this morning, so I didn't give a lot of heads up time like I typically do for them to ask questions, but we still made it happen. The first one that I thought was pretty interesting was from Noah S. He was asking actually about Cyberpunk 2077. This is a very futuristic type game. He was basically just saying like, what were my thoughts on it? Do I think it's going to be good? It's so early. It's really hard to tell. This is going to be a game that is extremely hyped. I think this is going to be one of the main big games coming. From the initial announcement, it was definitely one of the most viewed trailers. It's been one of the most talked about games, and the overall premise of the game, it's like a futuristic sci-fi world that you are playing through, and it's like very dark, very gritty. Like it's going to be pretty crazy game from even just the gameplay that they showed of it. This is going to be a very dark, crazy ass game. I actually watched, if you're interested in something like it to try and keep you tied it over, Altered Carbon is a series on Netflix it's very dark, very crazy, probably not for everybody, but it's all very sci-fi, futuristic. You might really like it. I really liked it. I felt similar to this. Probably not there's probably better things out there, but it's just something from my experience that you might like to help tide you over. Anyways, I'm pretty hyped for the game. I think it's going to be cool. It is a single-player game. I don't know, actually, if there's going to be any PvP or anything in it. So is it going to be the best for my content and playing it and showing it off? I have no idea. That one's not scheduled to release to at earliest. It's going to be late 2019. More likely, it's probably going to be a 2020 release. So that's still a whiles out, but definitely something we'll keep our eye on, Noah. Chad C. also asked what I thought was a pretty interesting question. Said, if streaming wasn't my main gig, what would be my dream job if I wasn't streaming and making videos and this content creation? I've been asked that question a few times, and I always kind of think about it for a little bit, and then I kind of move on because, I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it. I'd rather just focus on what I'm doing and hopefully not losing this job because I absolutely love it. But what I can tell you is how I kind of came up with what I was going to do prior to this, which was I was working in basically financial management or investment management. I got a degree in economics, so I guess my dream job prior and not doing any of this, my like main career path that I was aiming towards was maybe at some point being like an investment manager, managing big portfolios and those types of things. I don't think I would really want to do that anymore at this point. I think it's something that's really cool. I enjoy. It's kind of more of a hobby now, and I don't even spend any time on it because I don't have any time outside of this. But it was definitely something that was cool. And the way that I kind of come up with, and I was thinking about it, I was trying to think through this. The way I kind of think about things is I go for more of a process of elimination, like what will I not do? What do I not like to do? And that's how I narrow down things that I maybe will do, because I can't really ever decide on anything. So the way that I was like, okay, I'm not being a doctor. I just could not handle that. On top of it's just not for me, dude. Not for me. Anything in that area. I think more so though, like I feel like it would end up towards gaming, like in terms of anything dream-esque. I think it'd be maybe like I don't know, but I don't know if I would really want to, after my experience now in gaming, I don't feel like I would want to be a game developer. I don't feel like I would want to help make a video game. Just me personally. Like I enjoy playing it and experiencing it, and there's just some of the backlash that they get as a gaming studio is crazy. Sometimes creators get pretty big backlash too, to be fair as well. And not everybody likes me and what I do, so I get a bit of that, but I feel like it'd be so difficult being part of a huge thing, creating something that's going to be so public like that. I don't know. So it's not the best answer, but I guess if I could do like anything, maybe do like acting or something, which I feel like I would want to do, but I don't think I could do it. That's why I think it'd be more like a dream job. If I was just like an actor or something. But I don't feel like I could. I don't know. I never felt like I could do that. I never wanted to be part of drama classes or anything like that. Just wasn't for me. Dennis B asked, what software do I use to edit/stream with? Editing is obviously a huge part of what I do. I started with iMovie. I started with a MacBook Air in 2011. I got a computer for school. It's terrible. I don't recommend it for this type of thing, because as I would record, the fan would kick in because it would start to overheat, because I was just recording audio, just recording my microphone, but that was a lot of pressure for this computer. So it would kick the fan on, and after about 10 minutes of recording, so I'd have to stop, close my laptop, let it cool down. It was a whole thing. Anyways, started with iMovie, and then I moved to, I think I used Final Cut Pro after that, because I kept with the Macs. I think I got a new Mac or something. Then I switched to Vegas, Sony Vegas. I used that for a long time. Really good piece of software to use. I definitely recommend it if you can try it out in a trial or something. I think it's a good piece. But then I switched over to Premiere, and now I use like Creative Cloud, so Adobe Creative Cloud. That's something that is it's pretty smooth, and it's something that's constantly updated, and it's a lower, like, you don't have to pay a giant upfront cost to use it, which is great. It's just a monthly thing, and you could even do a trial for it. So anyways, that's what I use to edit video currently, is Adobe Premiere. I know a lot of people use After Effects as well, which is kind of more if you're going to do highly edited stuff, if you're going to do some really creative content, which I love. Like, that's some of my favorite all-time content to watch, is stuff that's got that really high effects, like stuff that you can do in After Effects. Those videos, I think they do fantastic because they're very highly edited and something fun to watch. How creative people can be with the editing process. But Premiere's a little simpler, and it's quite different from Vegas. If you're switching over from Vegas, I was reading some posts on Twitter or something from somebody that's saying they hate Premiere because they just rather stick with Vegas. It's just a smoother, more understandable experience. And I've successfully switched between all of them. It's like you can figure it out But there are a couple features that I did like in Vegas, but there's also a couple features that I really like in Premiere, like the fact that you could just drag in Photoshop files directly into Premiere, and you don't have to save it as a PNG first and then switch it. You can just do it, and it everything on it. All the Adobe stuff just works together. And I use Photoshop so much for thumbnails and everything that it's great. And I know some people just use Paint and other things too. It's another good option, but that's what I use. And then for streaming, I use OBS. It's free. I tried XSplit before, and it was good. It was good, but I ended up just switching to OBS because it was free, and I learned that, and, you know, now I could afford XSplit, but it's just, I have everything I need with OBS, so why? That was why I didn't spend the time. It's more me spending the time to learn it that I don't want to spend the time to. You know what I mean? If there is some feature that's unique to it, maybe I'll consider switching in the future, like something that I should be switching for. Maybe I haven't considered. I don't know. There's also been some changes to OBS lately. Like there's been an SL OBS, Streamlabs OBS that's come out. That's like a variation, but you don't get all the latest updates immediately when you use SL OBS, because OBS will update, and then SL OBS, they have to come up with an update and then release that to match it. Whereas there was another piece of software, it was OBS.live. That was from, I think it was Stream Elements, another thing kind of like Streamlabs, a competitor to that does tips and stuff. And I believe they do it as it's just a plugin to OBS. So if an update happens to OBS, you'll still have the latest version of OBS. You'll still get all the updates. Maybe all the features of the plugin won't work, but it probably will, because it's just a plugin. It's not a completely different thing. So I was looking into that a little bit too, but I just haven't spent the time to switch it up yet. So those are the things I use and some of the latest on that. Matt J also is asking, was I surprised when I started streaming to Facebook that many people had never watched a stream before? I wasn't. I knew that. I thought it was a good question. I knew. I mean, I started 2 years ago, and you know, I was checking out Mixer at the time as well. Like there's potentially other things that YouTube as well, streaming there. Streaming was so small though, even for how big it was 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It's still so small, and even today, it is still so small relative to bigger mainstream platforms. And a lot of the people that were watching the stream were telling me like, "Oh, I thought streaming was just for like my little brother." Like I thought it was just like kids playing Minecraft or whatever. Like it just wasn't. Hey, remember that Minecraft, dude? Fortnite took that over. Anyways, I thought it just wasn't. I didn't know what to expect of it. But there's such a huge range of it, and the audience right now on Twitch is so deep. They are deep gamers, at least from everything that I've been able to find. These guys are heavy hardcore gamers, and the people that watch, I feel like, are much heavier hardcore gamers as well. But there's so many people that like streaming is just a ton of fun to watch. It's a live show. It's a live show that anything can happen in. You can't predict what's going to happen. That's why the battle royales have been so fun to stream too. But that's a completely different topic. That putting it out to people that have never seen it, like, what's more casual than Facebook? Like, people just have a couple friends on there. So my goal has kind of just been to try and push that and change the way that people use it, more or less. And it's been a ton of fun. It's been a ton of fun to see so many people message me saying that they had never seen a stream or had heard of streaming, but had never actually watched one because they just didn't want to go to the website, make an account or whatever. It's just breaking down that barrier, and it's been a ton of fun to kind of be the first experience that people have with streaming for a lot of people. It's been a ton of fun. Taylor P also asked, you always seem high energy. How do you not burn out? It was talking about the different games that I play as well as for the streams. I think the biggest thing for me is throwing some coffee in there. That's always great. For some form of caffeine. Also, like, I kind of limit myself to playing games when I'm streaming, and I do so many other things with all of the content that I create, editing and stuff, that like I'm always just itching to get back and playing games. Like I am more passionate about gaming, and I have been my entire life, than anything else. It took me a while to kind of realize that, because for so long everybody was telling me like you shouldn't be spending so much time playing video games. this is bad for you. Like you're not. It's just lame. Go play some sports, whatever. And I really just wasn't interested in any of that. Like I never really watched any sports. I just am super into games, dude. I don't know what it is. Every time I got back from school, all I did was want to play more games. Even after I'm done streaming, like I just want to play some more games. Because that being said, I also don't stream for as long as what kind of a typical streamer does of like 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours. I typically only stream 3 to 6 hours a day. So I'm always hyped. I'm always hyped to play games. And especially we just have such good teams and moments, and it's just a ton of fun. Like this is where I just get to be. This is where my passion lies. And so I'm just naturally like, I just have a great time. This is what, like, if you loved snowboarding and you were just loved being up on the mountain, you got that energy just trying to pull out new tricks and whatever. Every time you go up, you're just so excited to be there. It's like the same thing, So I really don't, I haven't felt any burnout with it. If anything, it's more on the content creation side of like, I really don't want to edit this video right now. I just want to play some more games or whatever. Like that's where it more comes from. But that's kind of the beauty of what I've found from streaming is like, I can kind of create that content and enjoy the game at the same time. And that's what's been kind of such a beautiful thing for me personally. But I know there's so many different ways to create content right now, whether it's short form, long form, playthroughs. There's so many different things out there that it's really dependent on the person, I think. And then Jeffrey E., this is the last question that I had here that I pulled. He said, do I still do supporter games on console? I used to do viewer games on console way back in the day, but as of late, there was a period of time where I played a lot of Fortnite after kind of I got a little burnt out on PUBG, stopped playing that as much. And I guess, actually going back to the previous question, I do get burnt out on specific games for sure. But overall, like there's some other game that's intriguing me. Like there's more games right now that I can play than that I'm interested in playing than I have time in the day to play. So there's always something that I want to play, pretty much for me. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's been periods of not. But anyways, the supporter games, though, there was a period where I was doing Fortnite. Fortnite's the only game right now that allows for crossplay. And we could talk about this more in the future, too. And I did talk about this actually quite a bit in the past as well. It just wasn't actually in podcast form like this. But there was a Epic Games, the creators of, and this was actually something. Anyways, Epic Games was... they're giving out all their stuff for free now. So you can, in 2019, not yet, but they're coming out with it where you can take their code and figure out how to do crossplay between games, cross-platform between games. So you could play with your Xbox friends on PC and whatever, the mix there. So it's probably going to be something we see more of in the future and we'll probably be doing more of. But right now, Fortnite's the game that really supports it, that I play at least. I think like that car soccer game. God, I can't even remember the name right now. I've been talking. I got to end this soon. That's really the only game that I've been playing for it. And lately, I've been way more into PUBG again. So it's mostly just been PUBG. The supporter games that I do every Saturday morning are mostly just kind of like ways to play with the community. And right now, the best game for that currently is PUBG, where we can get 100 people in the game. Typically, we don't even fill it up all the way. I give a little bit of early access to my supporters. This is something I did a lot last year, a lot more, especially when PUBG was really big. It was a lot more competitive then. Now it's a little bit easier, but they've made more customization than ever on there, so that's why it's a little easier. And it's also like, I want to make sure that if I'm doing supporter games, it's something that's super entertaining for the people that are watching and not in the game as well. And having those crazy-ass custom games is just something that I've done since the beginning of time. Like, I remember back in Halo 2, like, that was my favorite thing about it, was custom games. Even Halo 1, we would do some custom games, LAN parties and stuff like that. That was it's just one of the things that I really enjoy, and I know I can make that entertaining and fun and a cool show with some unique modes and crazy stuff that is fun for everybody, even if you're just watching. You can't necessarily get in the games. So anyways, I hope that was Rocket League. That was the name of it. Thank you, chat. Got you. That was a ton of fun. Hopefully, there was a lot of things that I covered here. There's a lot of things that I even want to get more deep into, but this show is already coming up on 1 hour, and I want to try and target these for kind of like a 30-minute to maybe we'll extend it a little bit longer, but max it out at 1 hour for the shows. We're going to try and keep these up every single week. The goal, like I said in episode 1, was to keep it out about 36 episodes for the year, so maybe we miss a week a month, but you can always, of course, catch me live every single day over on my streams. You can catch me on my videos, which are all up on YouTube, Facebook, post clips on Instagram, Twitter. You can catch me across the internet. Just search StoneMountain64 and find your preferred platform. And if I'm doing stuff where I'm not doing stuff where you want me to be doing stuff, let me know. Maybe I can add some content there too. But it's all a huge balancing act and trying to find my place here. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, watching the podcast, which is kind of my newest outlet that we are doing here. If you do enjoy the show, don't forget to rate it on iTunes. Once it is up there, granted, it's not actually there yet, as the first episode is not up. Still working on some branding things and putting everything together before we start launching it. A little bit of early access for my supporters. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys so much for listening or watching, however you were tuning in. So for this one, StoneMountain64, over and out.